I'm Grace.
So let's get started.
I'm a recipe blogger, family-taught home chef,
Cheers.
Cheers.
iPhone-only photographer, and proud New Englander.
This split pea soup with smoky ham seems way too simple, but the rich, complex flavor says otherwise. So if you didn't know that split peas are in split pea soup, here you go. I have a whole pound of split peas. You just get these in a bag in the grocery store. And I'm just going to add them right to a big pot. Everything is just gonna go in a big pot and then it's gonna simmer for a long time. This soup is like the easiest thing ever, and that's why I love it. I've been asked whether split peas are the same thing as using frozen peas or fresh peas. It really isn't. It doesn't create the same result. Split peas make a creamier soup, so you really wanna use them. Then I have here some veggies that I'm gonna add in. I have a pound of celery and a pound of carrots. For the celery and the carrots, I'm just gonna give this guy a rough chop because we're going to be blending it and making it much smoother after the ingredients cook, so it doesn't really matter how rough you cut it. You just wanna cut celery into chunks just like this. I don't know why I think it's so funny. Now I'm going to add in some carrots, and there's a problem. I mean, what in the world? This poor carrot is so sad. So I just peeled the carrots, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna cut the carrots into rough chunks. Doesn't need to be super small because they're going to really get nice and soft and basically dissolve into our broth. I feel like a lot of my favorite soups have this base: carrots, celery, and onions. Classic mirepoix. I'm going to add in some sweet onion here, and again, I did the same thing. I just chopped them up roughly. You don't need to take all the time to chop them up nicely. And then finally, I have some garlic, and a lot of it. I have a whole head of garlic that I peeled, and that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, this soup doesn't taste like garlic. It just infuses into the ham that we're gonna be adding and just makes it taste so darn good. So all I do is I just kind of take each garlic clove and I give it a nice smash. You don't need to go ahead and mince this. Just a smash to release all of its flavors, and then we're just gonna add that right into our pot. My favorite part of pea soup is the ham. Some people don't put ham in their split pea soup. Well, I do, and it's the best darn part. I need a knife. Hold on. The ham just adds a nice smokiness, a nice saltiness, and you just really can't go wrong. I just bought some ham steaks, and they're pre-cooked, and I just slice them up. Again, you don't need perfect little squares or cubes. So when you're cutting your veggies, you don't really care about the size of your vegetables, but with your ham, you want to make sure that you're making nice cubes, just tiny little bite-sized cubes, because the ham really isn't going to disintegrate in your broth like the veggies are. And the finishing touch is a bay leaf. Bay leaves in soup, it's like the final little touch. It makes everything taste better. I'm gonna throw that in there, add some chicken broth in this guy, and then it's ready for the stove. Okay, so now the easy part. All we have to do is cover our pot. We're going to bring our soup to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for 90 minutes. Peas are gonna fall apart, everything's just gonna kind of meld together. Stir it once in a while, but basically just ignore it and let it hang out. It's boiling. So I'm just gonna turn this down to a simmer, just a gentle little simmer. I'm gonna give it a nice stir, and then we're just gonna let it go for its 90 minutes. It has been 90 minutes. It's gorgeous. It's very, very chunky, but you can see the peas completely disintegrated. It just looks like a green broth now. So all you have to do now is the finishing touch. You're gonna fish out that bay leaf, if I can get it without burning my little fingers off. Found it. Dispose of the bay leaf. And then you have 3 options. The first option is you can use a potato masher and mash your soup. This will lead to like a nice chunky soup. I like kind of the middle of the road. This is an immersion blender. You can buy these for like $20. And this gives you a lot of control over the texture of your soup. It basically is a blender by hand. Or you can stick the whole thing in a blender and just turn it on and let it go, but you're gonna get a creamy soup with no chunks. I like in the middle, so this is what I do. I'm gonna stick my immersion blender all the way in. You wanna make sure it's resting on the bottom or else it'll splatter. And you just wanna mix it, and the immersion blender will do its thing. And after a little bit, I like to kind of reach all the way down and do pulses just like this, because I do want to keep a few chunks of the ham. I don't want it to be completely smooth. This is what I like. I like when there's some pieces of ham intact, some carrots, some celery, but you also have this luxurious base. I just think this is the best way to make this soup. And that way when you serve it too, it doesn't just look like a big pile of green. You have some pretty pieces in there. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of soup, a little bit of hum. You're gonna need to give me a minute. I am telling you, this is one of the best soups ever. Creamy, amazing, heartwarming. Check this out on tastefullygrace.com. You won't regret it. It's soup season, baby. And it's a pea party.